On this week's podcast, we're talking to William Rand about Reiki and the environment. Welcome, William.
Hey, thank you.
William, I noticed that you were, I guess I've always known, but then you wrote an article in the Reiki News magazine about the environment. And so I really thought it would be a great idea to have you on and talk about it. But before we begin, I just wanted to let people know that I have some online classes coming up in October and again in December. In October, I have ICRT licensed level 1 and 2 masters, Karuna, ICRT animal Reiki training at level 1 and 2 and master level, and also an animal communication class. And William, you're teaching all kinds of classes online as well right now. Do you want to tell us a bit about those and what you have coming up?
I've got classes. I teach every month. I teach all the classes, 1 and 2 and master and Karuna master also. So I think is it September 11th or something, I've got my classes start. So what I've been doing is teaching them pretty close together. So the 1 and 2, and then the very next day, the master. So 5 days in a row, and then I take a day off, and then I think I teach Karuna. I don't have my schedule book right with me, but anyway.
That's okay. I'll put a link to your calendar in the podcast.
Yeah, just go to reiki.org and go to classes. My classes are right, all of them going on into the future. Sure.
Mm-hmm. And something else that you've done lately that's exciting and that does pertain a little bit to the environment is you've got a new line of vitamins, William, and I just wanted to mention that before we start as well. I've started taking them and I love them. But one of the things as an agrologist, that agricultural scientist, that I've noticed is that many times all we put back into the soil is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And of course, the body needs so much more than that. So I was so excited to see your line of vitamins. I don't know if you want to say anything about that today.
Yeah, here's what they look like. There's the bottle and the Reiki vitamins. Reiki vitamins. People might wonder, how could you make Reiki vitamins? What is that? Anyway, I've thought about nutrition for a long time, been involved with that and background, and my father was into it. And I've met a lot of health food store owners and talked with them about their ideas. And so anyway, at one point I realized they are starting to make vitamins for men and women and then older people and all that. So I thought they're specializing, so why not create a vitamin for Reiki people? And because of that, I did some research to find out, are there certain nutrients that are used when you're doing Reiki? Because in talking with people that do a lot of sessions, they say they do 10 sessions in a week. They said toward the end of the week, often they start to feel a little run down. And we know that we're not using our own energy, but energy is flowing through. So what must be going on? I thought maybe it's nutrition. We did some studies around that. I talked to some nutritionists, and also someone that does electrodermal testing, where you can test for different nutrients and what's going on. And so we took a picture of a Reiki class before they practiced Reiki and afterwards, and he was able to actually look at that. So we found that there's a couple of minerals, calcium and magnesium, that are used by the body when you do Reiki. And then there's a lot of herbs, and some of them are there to help you to do the Reiki, and some are there to actually balance out the body and help your Reiki flow more strongly, and also increase the spectrum of frequencies that you're able to channel. So those herbs are really important. So the formula I've got has a lot of herbs in it. In fact, there's so many ingredients. There's 60 ingredients in the formula, 60, which is more than I've seen in just about any other formula out there. And because of that, we do have them on the back, but they're so small. Most people can read it like concentrate in good light. But anyway, I put them on a card. We've got a separate card for the ingredients. It took both sides. On the back, there's so many herbs that are in there, and they're all in a synergistic formula, combined in such a way that they add to the value of each other in both by their quantities and the type of minerals and vitamins and herbs that are in the formula. But you can find out more about it. You go to reikivitamins.com, and everything's on the whole formula is there, and you can read all about it and everything. reikivitamins.com. We're going to be starting to promote it. It's a new product, so we just got it, but we do have them in stock, and they're available on our website for purchase.
I love them, William. And one of my students is a pharmacology student. And she, in particular, she looked at the ingredients and really looked with that eye as a pharmacologist. And she just couldn't believe the quality of the
Oh,
ingredients and the number of ingredients. She's just, oh my gosh, this is just the perfect formula. So
yeah.
you do
Yeah,
have
yeah.
a
Yeah,
great
this is,
endorsement.
well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been working on it a long time and I just wanted to be the very best formula. It's not only is it a good nutritional formula just for people in general, but
Yes.
also it's very good for Reiki people specifically.
And you hit the nail on the head. I do about 10 sessions a week, sometimes 12.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I am a little like by the end of it, I feel good, but I am a little worn down. So
yeah.
it's I'm excited. I'm just in my first week and a half of taking them, I think, and I love them.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
Thanks. William, I really was intrigued by your article about Reiki and the environment. I've been to your home in Hawaii. I know that it's completely solar and off the grid, and I know how the environment is important to you. What made you interested in the environment, and how has Reiki played a role in that for you?
For a long time, I've had an interest. And in fact, when I was in college, I got my anthropology teacher to allow me to do an independent study class. And so it was called the Fail-Safe Society. Back then, there was the serious issue of we didn't know, was the Earth going to continue, because there could have been global nuclear destruction. There could
Yes.
have been natural disasters, and then society could have just used up all the nutrients. There were a number of reasons why the Earth could have come to an end, and people didn't know quite what to do. So I wrote a paper on, I call it the Fail-Safe Society. And it was to be a society that would live in the Australian outback, away from everyone. And their purpose would be to preserve the technology and all of the knowledge that we had in case society disappeared. Then when everything settled down, they could go out and reestablish a high level of civilization, rather than back to the Stone Age, which is what people thought would happen after a global nuclear destruction or something. So anyway, it was very complete in everything that the society would have. And so they actually woven into the fabric of their society was all the different, they would grow their own food, of course, and then they would be able to make smelt iron and make steel and different metals, copper and things like that, and just make their own clothes and pretty much make from scratch everything that they had, so then they could train other people to do the same thing. So anyway, and of course, nutrition was very important around that too. And then my father was very interested in it, and I naturally had an interest in it as well. And going to health food stores and talking to store owners and things like that. In fact, over 20 years ago, I was going to do this same thing, but didn't quite have the resources to do it. And then recently I came up with the idea with vitamins for Reiki people, and that all came together, and did my research and so forth. It just comes from actually quite a long background with an interest in nutrition.
And you were interested in the environment. This was high school that you were concerned about the environment. And so you were interested back then. And there's a number of things that you've done, William, to just decrease your impact on the environment. Can you tell us about some of that?
With, like you mentioned, my home on Maui, it's off the grid, so it's powered by solar power. There are no power lines coming up to the house, so it produces all of its own electricity with solar panels and batteries. And then I have a backup generator just in case. But
Right.
we actually we're going to add panels so that we have to use that less. But there can be periods of time where there's no sun for a week or something. But I'm adding some more panels, so we have to use the generator less and less. So we don't really use that much at all. But also then solar hot water, and then rain catchment. So the roof, I have several buildings there. All the roofs have the water going into storage tanks. So I have about 35,000 gallons of water. So
Wow.
that would be like more than enough for a long time, even if it stopped raining.
Yes.
So I've got all those things going, and I do grow some of my own food, and that could easily be expanded if I needed to do that. So basically, the idea is to be self-independent, self-sufficient. And then what I'm thinking is electric cars are going to be coming online here pretty soon. And so I'm getting set up for that too. I have a pickup truck. I'm waiting for them to have an electric pickup truck. And then my solar panels will be able to charge the truck. So I would be free of using gasoline or diesel fuel, and be completely independent. That's the direction I'm going in. We're already pretty much off the grid. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And something, it's just occurring to me, listening to you talk about that, that so many of us that used to have to travel in order to teach so that people would have access to classes, now teaching online, that's also creating less drain and strain on the environment.
Yeah, I think that this has actually been a really interesting experience. And fortunately, I'd already taught one class off online. And so then I just connected up with my guides, and I work with Jesus and the Brothers and Sisters of the Light. And I asked them, and they said, oh, we knew this was coming, and we were getting your energy field ready so you could teach online. So you're ready now, and you just need one more ignition. So they gave myself and Colleen like a new ignition so we could teach online. And also so the students, like the energy they got, they could interconnect with the other students online, and also they could also teach online. It was all part of the plan that often they're doing things in the background that I don't even know. We don't know what was going to be coming, but they could get ready for events that are coming up.
William, it was interesting when things did go online. I was one of the teachers that was traveling all over, and I was aware of the global footprint, but I also felt that just giving more people access to Reiki classes was worth it. So I was traveling to the United Kingdom and Australia and all across Canada and the US.
Yeah.
And but it's so lovely now to be able to have classes online. Last week, I had a class where I had people from Hong Kong, China, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States, and without that global footprint on the environment. So it never even occurred to me to talk about that. But as you mentioned, the vehicles, and I'm like you, because of the farm and the horses, I find I need a pickup truck. And I know in Maui, you do as well. And so I'm just anxiously awaiting for the electric pickup trucks to be available. Yeah. And here in Canada, we're so lucky they just put in, there's both a federal and provincial grant. So we can actually get up to a $10,000 rebate when we purchase a new electric vehicle. Isn't that
great?
Yeah, that's just new. And then I also, like you, I've wanted solar panels since I was in my teens. I remember a home in our community that was passive solar, and they wrote about it in the newspaper, and I just devoured it. And I visited the home, but only recently we got our bills paid off and the farm paid off to a point where and the kids through college. So we're finally, this week, actually, yesterday, they just laid the pads for us to get some solar panels installed. Wow. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, that's great. I know, it feels so good. There's so many reasons why that's a good idea. I think to be independent and not affecting the environment like that, it makes you feel good about it. And of course, you're setting an example for others. And I think it definitely is the way everybody's going. And eventually we're going to be off the grid and drive electric vehicles. And they say the electric vehicle is just a lot simpler. It's just an electric motor and batteries. And whereas an engine and transmission, they're very complicated.
Yeah.
So apparently that has advantages in maintenance and longevity. So yeah, going electric, I think that's it. Pretty soon, they said by 2035 or something, they're setting some goals around that. And of course, it'll take time for the vehicles people have to actually be retired. But new production, I think they're setting some goals to go by 2035, just all electric. And pretty amazing how quickly things are changing. But we need it because the environment, the temperatures have been going up. And fortunately in Michigan, we haven't had any hot weather here at all. But out west, it's been like really unbearable on days. And they say, though, that it's a combination of the global warming and just the weather patterns. And they're thinking next year it won't be quite as bad, but it's still, the trend is the temperatures are going up.
So armor, we're noticing it, William, in the sea life. Like we never used to have great white sharks, and we do now. And they tend to like warmer water, I think. And so they're coming up north here to Atlantic Canada, and we're seeing them in the harbors and in the bays. And
yeah.
So we are definitely noticing there is a trend of warming. And I know that the environment is top of mind. And so often people feel helpless when they think about the environment and they think, what can I do? But I always remember that whenever I feel helpless or hopeless, that wait a minute, I have Reiki. And I tease my students that Reiki is our superpower. And so, what advice do you have for people as far as things that they can do about the environment? And also, what can we do with our Reiki?
Oh, absolutely. Well, Reiki can be used to be sent to the whole world. And that definitely is going to help on many levels. For instance, it's going to help people be calmer and more peaceful about the changes that are taking place, help them be more creative and be willing to make changes in their life and the way they use energy, and also helping the scientists and creative people to actually come up with better ideas and the people, logistics and all that to make changes in the planet more quickly. So absolutely, Reiki, it's amazing how much even one person can do just sending Reiki to the whole world. And you can do that by just getting a small globe or a map of the world or just thinking of the earth and sending Reiki. And the earth herself is alive. And
Mhm.
there is a spirit of the earth we call Mother Earth, and the Mother Earth is actually completely enlightened. And that being is there to help us also make this transition and is working on our behalf. We can tune into Mother Earth and ask for help and guidance and so forth. And there's a very loving, nurturing energy we would get from that. And then just by sending Reiki to the earth and then doing what we can for ourselves as individuals to make changes in how we use energy, how we heat our homes, and where we get our energy from. And I think at the same time, like I say, there are scientific breakthroughs happening. And I think the cost of alternative energy, at least say alternative, but maybe it's more complementary, but is coming. And so that we can actually, I guess there's some places that have it's called grid tie, where your solar panels are hooked up to the electric grid. And so when you make excess power, it goes into the grid to help other people. And then on days when there's not enough energy, sun, then you do use some of the power grid's energy so
That's
that you don't.
exactly how, that's what ours are going to be, William. That's
Yeah,
so,
grid tie. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
It helps both ways. And if we get enough, like I say, what I'm doing is I'm putting in more panels because I want to be able to power my electric pickup truck totally off the grid, independent, and not just using sunlight, powered by the sun, which is such a natural, wonderful thing to be connected to.
Doesn't that feel good? And I know I'm a
Yeah.
gardener and I'm just always amazed at what the earth and the sun together give us. And I know I was in a discussion with Colleen Benelli about the earth and about man-made things and how sometimes I'm like, oh, man-made. And Colleen had a conversation with the spirit of the earth who said, everything comes from me, even when you call it man-made. It all came
Yeah, that's
from me.
true. Uh-huh.
And we're always so amazed at how, if there's a vacant lot or here around us in our community, there's been a fair bit of clear cutting lately.
Hmm.
And as much as I think, oh, I don't know, it's amazing how nature takes it back. It will take back a vacant lot, break up the
Yeah.
pavement
Mhm.
and bring in, it is incredible, isn't it? One time during a meditation, and because I guess I've been concerned about the environment for a very long time. And the Reiki energy told me that the solution to all of the world's problems exist. And it encouraged me, instead of focusing on what was wrong and putting a lot of energy into that, to instead shift my energy to look at the solution and try to put energy into that, because the solutions to all the world's problems exist. And I'm like you, I'm hoping to have, we're getting the tracker solar panels that actually
Oh,
follow the
wow.
sun. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and for us here, we get a lot of snow. So they actually, when they get covered with snow, they dump themselves off, which
Oh,
is
really? Wow.
exciting.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Amazing.
would, yeah, and I'm hoping to have, I would really like them to have them power an electric vehicle, but I'm amazed. And we also in Canada, put out, so there's up to $10,000 in rebates for the
Wow.
solar system as well. So I'm really excited to see some of the world's governments just really get behind this
Yeah.
mm,
Yeah, I see it, a combination of improvement in technology and then a shift in consciousness. We're going to do it. And I think it's going to happen without too much difficulty and before it's too late. And then there may even be, I guess they have machines now that will draw CO2 out of the atmosphere and then make products out of it so that we would go the other way. We actually be reducing the CO2 in our atmosphere, not just slowing or stopping, but actually going the other way. And the thing is, as time goes by, you get the younger people growing up into, and they're much behind the idea of preserving the planet, and they have new ideas and a lot of energy. And so I think the whole thing is going to be shifting, and there's going to be a tremendous acceptance that we do need to make these changes. And I think it's going to be happening. So
I do too. I know
yeah.
my children are in that age category. My daughter just finished her science degree, my oldest, and she's 23. And she said, Mom, that's a lot of pressure for you guys to put on us. Like, you guys need to do stuff too. And I said,
That
right.
happened, that kind of thing happened when there was the Sputnik thing a long time ago.
Yes.
When, the Russians got satellites when we didn't have them. And that there was a pressure on me, on my age group, because they said, oh, you're going to have to study really hard because the Russians are going to take over. So yeah, I felt that kind of too. Is, oh, what? Oh no, that kind of, yeah, for children, young people, it's hard, but I think we need to look at it in a very positive way, that we do have the ability to do it. The changes can come. And if we're the ones helping make it happen, then we feel a lot better about ourselves in providing positive change for the planet, and saving it. So
yeah, I agree. This is such a beautiful planet. We have to save it.
absolutely. Yeah, they've never found any planet like the Earth, even so far. And if they do, it's probably so far away that we would never be able to travel there. So we have to save this planet. It's so beautiful. And I think it's definitely will happen. And of course, what we want to do then with our Reiki is be sending Reiki to that goal. And like I say, just a small globe or a map of the Earth, something like that. And to be sending Reiki each day and just thinking very kind, loving thoughts towards the Earth. And it's definitely going to happen. Like you were saying too, think on the positive side of it, not on how things are getting worse, but on how things are getting better and what the tremendous potential is for us for the future in solving our problems.
Yeah, I can't believe that the difference in the solar system that I'm looking at now versus when I first tried to price it out 10 years ago. It's very doable.
Yeah.
And there's help with it. And gosh, I think the system winds up, although it wasn't my primary goal, they actually do a cost analysis and they feel that it will pay for itself in 9 or 10 years. And yeah, but it's that good feeling of being able to plug my electric vehicle in and just have less of an impact. William, is there any other thoughts or anything you'd like to leave with people before we move into a meditation
I
today?
think it's just important to have a very positive idea about the future. And there is one book I recommend people read. It's called The Better Angels of Our Nature by Steven Pinker. And what he did was he analyzed what was happening. A lot of people think that things are getting worse and worse, but he's found statistically they're getting better and better. And we now live at a golden age on the planet when things are better than they've ever been. Now, and he demonstrated, it isn't an idea he started out with. He thought they were getting worse. So he wanted to look at the statistics, and he did. And statistically, the world is getting better and better. One example I'll leave you with is in World War I and II, there were actually 105 million people that died, including the military and the civilians. 105 million died in World War I and II. And then since then, in 75 years, there's only been about 20 million people that have died in wars. So you can see just from that the number of people dying in wars over 75 years is 1/5 of what died in World War I and II. So in that respect, the planet's getting a lot better. It's a lot safer. In fact, there's less crime. and like burglaries and murders and all that is going down. So I would recommend people read that book. It'll change
Mm.
your whole attitude about life. Things are getting better.
You wrote an article around that, William, that really stayed with me. And you talked about child literacy rates, child labor, poverty, hunger, so many. If you look at most of the economic and not just that, but indicators of progression, so
Yes.
many of them have improved. And that really helped change my outlook. I think I'll find that article on
Yeah. Yeah. I
reiki.org and
mean,
I'll link to
yeah,
that.
that's a reality. Life is getting better on our planet. And that's something to be really happy about. It's going in the right direction. So we just need to keep going, especially with energy converting over. And like we're talking about, technology is supporting us and making it easy to live off the grid, produce our own energy from the sun, and reduce the CO2 emissions and so forth, and turn the whole thing around.
I love that, William. And yeah, I'm definitely going to link that article. And it makes me think that one of the things we can do with Reiki, because I wonder why it is that we gravitate toward, like in the news and things, more the negative, when really there is so much positive
Mm-hmm.
to talk about out there. But that's one of the things perhaps we can do with our Reiki energy, is just shift our perspective. You wrote an article about
Yeah.
perspectives once that I loved, about two little girls getting knocked down by
Oh,
the waves. And one little girl went crying and said, "Mommy, the ocean hates me. It knocked me down." And the other girl went laughing to her mother, saying, "Mommy, the ocean loves me. It wanted to play with me." And so I feel like Reiki can just really help us shift our perspective so that maybe we can focus more toward the solutions rather than get mired down in the difficulties. Would you agree with that?
absolutely. And it changes your whole quality of life when you understand from statistics, things are getting better. And that, of course, as you're changing your own lifestyle, you're contributing to that.
Yes, we really are. And I'm just constantly amazed at the beauty that surrounds us on this planet. I've been so fortunate to get to travel to a lot of beautiful places on the earth, and still hope to travel to more eventually, when it's possible. And because it's just so gorgeous. And I love the spirit of the earth that you brought that in. That showed up very prominently in our animal Reiki course, the spirit of the earth. And then we realized you had written about it in the Reiki master manual years ago, of the spirit of the earth, that you were very aware of that energy all
Yeah.
along, when the rest of us weren't as much. William, would you like to lead us in a meditation today to give back to the earth, and maybe even help shift our perspectives? And
Sure. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. This is William Lee Rand, and I'm going to conduct a Reiki meditation for the earth to heal the environment and to heal everyone that's on the planet, so we can all work together to bring peace and harmony to the planet. So if you just take a couple of deep breaths and close your eyes, and then just place your hands on your legs or somewhere comfortable like that. And as we do this, we ask that the beautiful, loving energies of Holy Fire Reiki flow through each person listening. Even if you haven't taken a Reiki class, just imagine this wonderful energy flowing through you and around you now. Very kind and loving, beautiful energy. And take another really deep breath and just allow yourself to relax. And I'd like you to imagine it's a very beautiful day, a warm and sunny day. And I'd like you to imagine that you're walking through a beautiful forest. And you're barefoot walking along the path. And as you're walking through the forest, just imagine as you breathe into yourself, you're actually breathing in the life energies of the forest. And with each step that you take, just imagine you can feel the energies of the earth flowing up through the bottoms of your feet. And as you're walking along, just allow yourself to be aware of all the plants and flowers and trees and bushes and grass, all the living things around you. And just be aware of how peaceful it is here and how much the forest loves you. There's wonderful nurturing energy coming from all the plants, flowers, and trees and bushes. And as you're walking along up ahead, you see it getting lighter and you realize you're actually coming out to the edge of the forest. Now, as you walk out, there before you is a beautiful river. This is a very special river. This is the river of life. And the waters for this river come down, raining down on the mountains, and come into little streams and form into bigger streams. And finally, the river, beautiful river, and it flows along, even goes through a sort of a volcanic area where it's warm to what you might call jacuzzi temperature. And the path goes along the riverbank, and just to walk along, and there are beautiful plants and flowers there also. And then the river, the path changes and goes into the river, and just stand there. There's a place where you can walk in, so the waters of the river are flowing around your feet. And take a moment to be there now, and just imagine that this energy in the river is actually flowing in all the rivers all over the world. That this wonderful healing energy is there to nurture the planet. And we're both receiving wonderful, beautiful energies from the planet, but also the Reiki energies are flowing out to go around the planet to nurture Mother Earth and to help her in keeping the Earth whole and healthy and complete, balancing all the energies, all the human forces that are there with the Earth, helping them come more into alignment with what the Earth needs to keep the Earth healthy and strong, so that all of us work together. Our consciousness is encouraged to be part of this process. As you're standing there, just take a moment and reach down with your cupped hands and take some of the river water up to your lips and just drink from this wonderful, very clear, beautiful, healthy water, filled with life, filled with love and healing and nurturing. And just feel it as it flows within you now, adding to the wonderful healing energies you're now experiencing. And take another really deep breath. And the river is calling you now, and it's inviting you to enter into its beautiful waters. And so just go forward now and going deeper into the water, beginning to float and swim, and feeling the water all around you, so soothing, healing, nurturing. And then imagine that you can actually dive down under the water, and this is a very special kind of water. It allows you to breathe underwater. So just imagine actually breathing in the water, filled with this wonderful life energy, nurturing and healing, loving and kind, flowing completely within you and around you now, even swimming underwater and around. And the river is guiding you now. And this river water also is flowing in all the rivers all over the world, nurturing the entire planet. And the Reiki energy also, the holy fire, is flowing all around the planet as you're swimming in the river. And the river is guiding you now. So just allow yourself now to be guided by the river of life. And you can continue with this process as long as you feel guided to do. And whenever you're ready, just imagine coming to the surfaces of the water and then taking a couple of deep breaths, returning to your physical body. And whenever you're ready, just open your eyes and come back. And you might even take a moment to write down some notes about your experience during the meditation.
William, I want to thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast, Reiki from the Farm, and for that beautiful meditation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
For all that you do.
You're welcome.
Namaste.
Namaste.